Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, Central Michigan Stacker. Pulled out a box out of the safety deposit today to go over and look at a few bars that I haven't looked at them in quite a while. Thought maybe it'd be interesting for y'all to check them out with me. And I'm wondering, what are your stacking goals? What's enough silver, in your opinion, for you? I mean, you know, are you stacking it to have yourself a bank account or an account of some sort rather than just fiat, you know, money in a bank? Or, you know, why do you stack per se? I mean, if you follow along with my channel, most of the people that do know why I stack. It's not necessarily what a lot of people will say a hedge against inflation, because we've had the worst inflation that we've had since the 1970s and earlier. They're talking about us possibly going into a huge recession, worse than we've seen even in the 20s. Some people are saying that, you know. Is it true? Is it going to happen? No one has a crystal ball. No one can tell you whether or not for certain anything like that's going to happen. But if it does, do you have enough in your stack to feel safe or secure, I guess you could say? I never really gave it much thought when I first started stacking as to how much silver and or gold I was going to stack. But now here we are 4 or 5 years into it, and like they say, it's easy to take off with a pocket full of gold. You know, if the SHIT hits the fan, all you got to do is grab your pocket full of gold and go. It's much more difficult to grab up, you know, boxes of silver, or, you know, retrieve them from wherever you hold your stash, things like that. You know, preparation has to be made in order to move this type of stuff, and if you have quite a bit of it. Now, I've been to a few of my local coin stores recently, when silver had gone up into the 30s, and a lot of people were selling at that time. A lot of people that bought their silver at $17, $18, $19 an ounce were selling it when it got into the low 30s. And from what I could see, most of my places that I go to buy silver and gold were pretty much swamped with everything they could take. Their shelves were full. Whereas at one point in time, maybe their shelves were sparse. Once it got into the low 30s, their shelves were full, and they've remained full. I can go to any one of the stores that I go to, whether it be the Golden Eagle in Flint, or whether it be the Coin and Jewelry in not Flushing, but in Frankenmuth, or I can go down, you know, down south and go to the Gold Broker in Waterford. It doesn't matter where you go; their shelves are full of the silver that they bought from people when it was in the 30s, and it seemed like it was going up. Maybe it was going to go to 40 or 50. Now that their shelves are full of silver, and the question that I put out to them back then was, well, if silver does get up that high, are you still a buyer? And, you know, every one of them said yes, that they'd be a buyer. Whether silver hit $40, $50 an ounce, it wouldn't matter, because who's to say it's not going to go higher? You know, that's the business they're in, to buy and sell gold and silver. Now, obviously, once they have accumulated so much for themselves to be able to sell to the public, they've got to kind of hit the brakes on it a little bit and give it a minute and, you know, recoup some of the fiat that they've put out there, buying what we have, the public, you know, in order to resell it to someone else at, you know, their profit margins are small. They're minute. They're dollars here and dollars there. They're not making a lot of money. I mean, for the most part, most of the places I do business with, if they're selling ounces of gold, it's for, you know, for an ounce, they might make $100. A half ounce, they might make 50. You know, that's as high over spot as they're charging. Now, when they go to buy it, you know, it's the exact opposite. They're trying to get it for 50 less or 100 less, you know, back from spot and things like that, so that they can make their, you know, whatever profit that they can make. But it just seemed like, you know, it's not going to be as easy to get rid of a bunch of silver once it goes to the prices people are talking about that it could go. You know, if it goes anywhere to $50, $60, $70 an ounce, that's going to take a lot of money for small businesses to throw out there to buy your stuff. You know what I mean? If you've accumulated a lot of silver. Now, if you've accumulated a lot of gold, that's different, because it seems like they're always interested in taking as much gold as they can, you know, for a few dollars back from spot in order to make their profit. But it just seems like the silver end of it isn't quite as attractive to them, I guess you could say, when it started going up. You know, like I said, they filled their shelves, and that's as much as they wanted. I was seeing, you know, notes on doors and stuff, not buying silver, not buying gold, maybe next week, things like that. And, you know, if you're in a pinch and you need to offload some of your silver because you've got a bill due or something like that, maybe you overextended a little bit, who knows what your situation is, but God forbid that you got to dig into your stack and take some in because, you know, you've fallen short here or there, and all of a sudden, guess what? Well, they don't have the money for you. They're not interested in what you have to sell, and or they are, but not at the price that you thought you could get out of it. You know, it's a touchy situation as far as the gold and silver market goes right now, because with it being an election year, it seems like everything's up in the air right now. People don't really have a definite, you know, answer as to who's going to fill that White House. I've got my personal feeling. If Trump gets in, we're headed for prosperity in this country again, like when he was in for the 4 years prior to these last 4. If he does not, well, I'm not so sure about what this screwball Kamala would try to do. You know, she's talking about businesses price gouging as far as food and gas and things like that are concerned, but she's nuts, because it's the consumer that has the last word as far as the supply and demand. It's the consumer that pushes the prices either up or down, whether or not things are wanted. It's not the company's price gouging. Okay? They've made their bed. They've got to lay in it. They created this inflation, and now they're trying to throw it off because they can't say Trump did it. They're trying to throw it off onto the companies and say they're price gouging. That's not what's going on. It's the Democratic plan is what's going on. It's screwing this nation and is driving it right into the ground. And that's the way they want it, because they want you dependent on them. That's what they want. They want to be in charge of everything, because at that point in time, they handle all the money. When they're in charge of everything and it's all going their way, that's when they can slip in their CBDCs. And guess what? They catch every little transaction that goes on from here on out, and they get their tax money for it. That's what they want. And it's not so that they can pay down debt. No. It's so that they can make themselves richer. That's all they're worried about. And I'm not saying one side's better than the other. However, I think the plan that these Democrats are running on is just not right for this country at this point in time. Electricity has its uses, and I'm sure we'll be using much more of it in the future, along with nuclear. But there's a lot of coal and oil and natural gas that still needs to be used up, and a lot of people are interested in ways of using it. Maybe a little more efficiently, but still ways to use it nonetheless. They're not interested in having electrified everything because it's not practical. Okay, for one thing. Semis aren't going to run across this country like they do now on electric, like they do on diesel. It's just, everyone knows it's not going to happen like that. They've got to come up with a better solution if they want to get away from coal, oil, and gas. That's all there is to it. But my question is, bro, do you even stack, bro? And if you do, what's your reason? Is it for a rainy day? Is it for your family in the future? Are you trying to get rich off it in the short term? You know, let me know. My stack is for the future. I consider it my own bank account. Something that a bank can't tell me, oh, sorry, you'll have to come back in a week or whatever. We don't have your money right now for you. You can get it later. If I need it, and I can foresee that I'm going to need it, I can make deals and I can talk to business owners and use this right here to get what I need. That's a fact. People talk about when the shit hits the fan, will you be able to use your gold and silver, you know, for barter and whatnot. I've already done it numerous times. I told the story about when I took my gold chain in to be worked on. And he told me it was going to be $90. $90 to fix it. And I asked him, can I just give you 3 ounces of silver? The man said, yes, that's fine with him. So that's just one instance that I've used silver to pay for a debt. There's a lot of other things you can imagine that you could use it for to pay for debts. But that's what I'm asking. Do you even stack, bro? Mine is for my own bank account. I don't keep a lot of fiat. I'm not a big fan of it. I use it to pay my bills. I use it to buy food, things like that. But as much as I can put into my savings, you know, the things that I save, that's where I want to put it. I feel much more at ease with a bin full of this than I do with a bin full of something that's just losing its value more and more on a daily basis. So let me know what you're stacking in the comments below. Thanks for viewing the channel, Central Michigan Stacker, and I'm out.